Hey everybody, welcome back to Generation X Nation. First, as always, thank you to everybody who has subscribed, who left a comment. You guys know I get back to you. I definitely appreciate it. I'm almost at my goal. Got another couple of weeks to go. Let's see if we can get there. Now, what I'm gonna do today, real quick, is Belle Collective and Belle Collective of Birmingham, and I mean quick, because it again. Birmingham is definitely going to be something special with Stormy on it. And the Bell Collective down there in Jackson is kind of the same old thing, but we'll go through it real quick. But before we start, always do my disclaimers. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel, who has left a comment, like, share. Please do that for me, people. That's all I ask. Don't ask for nothing else. No money, nothing. Just like and share. Um, Second, everything I do is for entertainment purposes only. It's alleged and it's in my opinion, and it's for entertainment purposes only. It's alleged and it's in my opinion. I don't know these people personally. I don't have a dog in this fight, and I can care. Hold on, I'm trying to get my camera right. And I can care less one way or another who's on top or whatever. However, I will give my opinion based on the episodes that airs week to week. As I always say, one week I may like a person, one week I may not like them, but I give my opinion based on what they show us on the TV screen with the understanding that episodes are edited. All right. So with that being said, let's go and get started. First, we're going to talk about the cooking class that had Cliff, Latrice, Letitia, and Glenn. Cliff, first of all, admitted that he did tell Matt about the alleged baby plot with Michael and Selena. He said he didn't think it would get that far. He said, leave the gossiping to the Bells. Men don't gossip, but Cliff, you did tell. Okay. Glenn and Letitia are still having their issues um, in this quote unquote celibate thing in their marriage, but I think they're getting closer to being back to a regular married couple. Letitia and Cliff, I'm sorry, Latrice and Cliff seem to be getting along very well, but now Latrice is starting to think about having a child with Cliff. And Cliff is like, hey, that moment has passed. We tried to do it before, you didn't want to do it. Now that moment has passed, but Latrice is saying, hey, I'm ready for it now after going through that process with the fibroids and then looking at Tambra's museum and you leaving me in the hospital the first time I had the operation, I don't ever want to be left alone again. And I know if I have a child, I would never have that issue. That's not exact reason to have a child, but I do understand Latrice's concern, and she discusses that later on down the road. Um, and with that, it seemed like everybody was happy. The meal looked decent. I guess everybody enjoyed it. Nobody complained. I don't know. I didn't like that chef's energy. He didn't seem like he was into it to me, but they had a good time, and maybe that's just the way people act in Mississippi. I don't live there, but the chef didn't give me anything. All right. Um, and let's talk about Latrice and Cliff. So after that, Latrice and Cliff are sitting at home discussing her upcoming surgery. And I could tell Latrice is a little nervous and scared. And she's more nervous to me about leaving Cliff in charge of the business. And I'm like, girl, that is your husband. Cliff ain't let you down yet. What are you afraid of? But then as Cliff gets to talking, I understand what she's afraid of. Cliff was like, look, all I see you do is typing on the computer. That's all you do. It's okay. I'll go by and check on it. And Latrice is a little nervous because she understands Cliff doesn't get the day-to-day activities of running the business. Cliff said, hey, I do my part. And I think that means he does the manual labor. Cliff, build things, fix things, paint things, do the plumbing, the electrical parts. But when it comes to the logistical parts, the day-to-day part of running a business, inventorying, ordering supplies, payroll for the employees, scheduling for the employees, I think that is not Cliff's forte. And he thinks because Latrice is sitting there on the computer, that's all she do. But when she's on that computer, Cliff, she's doing payroll. She's doing inventory. She's ordering stuff that she needs to order. She's making sure the employees get paid. I, Cliff is really has toned it down this particular season. But Cliff, you're gonna have to do better than that. Now, Latrice is saying, hey, when I'm in this hospital, I may be out 4 to 6 weeks. Are you going to leave me again in the hospital? He said, well, I left you before, but I didn't leave you because of that. I left you because they said you was okay. And I just went on to check on the business. She said, yeah, but you went there, you checked on it, and you also got drunk. I knew I knew Cliff drank a little bit more than most people. I'll just leave it at that. So it seemed like Cliff has pulled back on the drinking because I think when he was acting butthole Cliff in the earlier seasons, it was because he was maybe tasting just a little bit more than what he should. Um, and last but not least, they decided to sit down and talk. And Latrice, I'm giving you this, Latrice. Latrice used TikTok. Latrice said, "Hey, I found some therapy methods on TikTok. So let's sit down, look each other in the face, across from each other, hold each other's hand, and have this conversation." And that was really a good moment for Latrice because I felt like she was letting Cliff know, hey, everybody in my life has left me. At least she felt that. She lost her dad wasn't around or whatever. Then she lost two, I think she lost two brothers so far, and she just don't want to lose anything else. And at that moment, I think Cliff understood, and it was really touching. And thank God Latrice has basically shown a lot of growth there. Um, and with that being said, I think Latrice will be okay when she leaves. Cliff, learn how to run that doggone restaurant from top to bottom. And if you can't, make sure your assistant manager can do it so your wife can feel comfortable while she's recovering from this fibroid surgery. Make sure there's a good assistant manager or manager in that doggone restaurant that knows all the ins and outs. And Latrice, make sure you train somebody to do that because at some point you're going to go on vacation, fly to the country or something, or go to another state, and somebody needs to be able to run that place if you and Cliff happen to go out for a couple of days to enjoy yourselves. Okay, so you shouldn't be in that situation, but we do understand it will get better. Then it went on to Selena, and that was real quick. Selena came back with her new teeth. She went to Tamra, showed off her teeth, told Tamra about her little health scare while she was getting her teeth done. And they got to talking about what happened at Tamra's museum exhibit of her life. And I get what Tamra's saying. They don't want to hear no more outside noise. If you're not part of the Bells, just shut up. And that conversation was addressed towards Shantae because Shantae couldn't keep her freaking mouth shut. And she's still talking on this episode. No, on the next week's episode when they show the previews from next week. I'm starting out. Shantae, you just came out the gate not being very likable. I'm sorry. Um, then after that, all the men kind of meet up at Cliff's man cave, which he's building, but it's outside, and apparently it's still cold. So I'm assuming they must have filmed this in the wintertime. I don't know, December, January, February time frame. And Matt comes in there with his bougie behind. Ooh, it's kind of cold in here, and you could see the smoke coming out of their breath. So you knew it was cold. And Cliff said, "Hey, I ain't got the walls in yet, but I'm working on it." So all the guys come in, and Glendale, of all people, comes in with a diaper bag and gives it to Mike as a joke. And I thought it was kind of funny too. But Glendale, you may want to do some self-reflection before you come in there with diaper bags given to people because we already know your history with babies. Let's just leave it at that. The men are all discussing what happened, and it came down to somebody told their wife, Latrice. Cliff said, "I told Latrice," and now the guys are trying to point at Latrice as though she was the one that brought it to the Bells. But the whole conversation, Cliff never mentioned I told Matt, or Matt never mentioned Cliff told me, and I told my wife. Y'all sat there and let Latrice take the blame for it, and Cliff didn't even realize that they were doing that because they always like, "Oh, well, that's it." As soon as he said, "I told Latrice." Matt, you should have spoke up and said, "Hey, I told my wife too," or Cliff told me. Matt kept it cool. All right. Um, they got to talking about their wives and they say, "Hey, the women flirt all the time. We got to stop doing this flirting stuff." And Matt said, "I flirt and I know my wife flirt." And everybody kind of looked at him, and I'm like, "Matt, I don't think the rest of the people okay with their wives flirting because they gave you a real strange look when you said that." Now, Cliff mentioned something about Glendale smiling and flirting with the girls. And then Glendale asked Cliff, "Well, what do? You don't smile?" Cliff said, "Hell no." Cliff straight up said, "Hey, I mean mug these women. I ain't doing that." He told look Cliff in the face and said, "You need to stop smiling at these three old folks." Thank you, Cliff. Now maybe Glendale understands. Okay, stop smiling and flirting at these girls because, like Cliff said, you smiling and flirting at with them, they're taking it the wrong way. Cliff said, "Hey, I make sure I don't do any of that. I straight got a mean face on, so they don't even come up to me with no BS." So Cliff ain't got to deal with that kind of stuff in his household. Okay. And then after that, everybody decided, hey, we need to take a guy's trip to Colombia. I don't think so. I don't think that you should be taking Glenn anywhere near Colombia. Okay, no, that's just not a good idea because Glenn still has that wandering eye. And according to him, Letitia is still holding off on him. If y'all gonna plan that trip, make sure him and Letitia is in a good spot before y'all leave. That's all I'm saying. And Cliff, I appreciate you bringing the guys over, sitting down and talking with them. Matt, you got to stop acting like you a little bougie and better than Matt just gave me a bougie vibe this particular time while they was all being there. But one thing I did notice was Mike. Mike was more open than I ever seen him. And I kind of got a left eye on you, Mike. I'm not saying that rumor was true or not true, but you starting to show me a different side of you because Mike was very active in this particular scene, laughing and joking with the guys and all of that stuff, talking about the baby stuff. I don't know, Mike. I got my eye on you. You better not break Selena's heart, okay? Because Selena's starting to wear me down. Then we get to Stormy and Latrice. And let me tell you something. Stormy walked in that room looking absolutely amazing. Stormy has lost weight, and I've seen her on social media working out and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say she's, like everybody else taking the shots or whatever. Stormy looks good. Kudos to you, Stormy. The black looked good on you. The way you walked in there like the boss that you are. Sat down with Latrice, and I appreciate it. And I don't care. People don't like Stormy, whatever. I don't know Stormy, but I like her products. I've bought them before. And let me just tell you a quick story before I finish. Like I said, I used Stormy hair care products before she even got on that show. So you're not going to make me hate Stormy because I like her products and I like her as a person. She doesn't always get it right, but I don't think she has that bad of intentions for people. She likes who she likes and she doesn't like who she doesn't like. And that's just who Stormy is. Now, with that being said, she was sitting down there encouraging Latrice. Latrice gave her all of her accolades about her being the #1 seller on TikTok, da 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 da. So she asked Latrice, how's everything going here? And Latrice said, we're having problems with license and permits because they keep calling, the law on them. Every time they have something at the at Taste, any type of event, and the music's playing, take them to Popo. I'm not familiar with Jackson, so I don't know exactly what side of town is on. But then Stormy said, is this a predominantly white area? And she said, yes, that makes sense. Okay. Um, Latrice, I believe something similar happened to Marceau and them back there in Huntsville, where they was having a problem with, I think it was a church or something, saying that they were parking on their property, and they reported them to the city. And that's usually what happens when you get some type of nightclub where people come there that they're not used to being around. I would just suggest you keep doing what you're doing. Make sure you have security. You keep the riffraff out, and eventually they'll let it go. But I think they're not going to stop until they close you down. That's why they won't give you the permits and the license to rent out your condos or Airbnb your condos. They don't want you there. And whatever it takes to push you out, that's what they're going to do. But they'll push you out and then open up a cowboy bar there and everybody be cool. That's usually how they do. So hang in there, Latrice. Start going to your city councilmen, your leaders in that community, and start, getting them to help you out. Because we see Cliff said he ain't going to none of these council meetings, whatever. And Cliff need to be down there with you too. Because y'all all are a black-owned business, pretty successful. And I think they believe if y'all come to that side of town, you're going to bring the riffraff with you. There's going to be crime. There's going to be this, that, and the third. And that's why, because you still have a segment of people in this country, they just have that disdain for people of a darker complected skin, believe in the stereotypes, and think all these horrible things are going to happen just because you live next door to them. That's all I'm saying. And then Stormy gave her the best advice she could. She said, take up as much space as you needed. She said, for everything that I have done on TikTok, all the records I've broken, selling my products, she said, it wasn't supposed to be me. This face was not supposed to be the face of TikTok, the #1 face of TikTok. And that says a lot. That says a lot. And that's why I like Stormy, because sometimes she does have some good, things to put out. She actually told her not to put the surgery off because Latrice is so scared that Cliff ain't gonna be able to handle this stuff while she gone. She talking about putting the surgery off. No, your health is more important than anything. Because if you put it off and it gets worse, then you're going to be out even longer. Get it over, get it done with, hire your good manager, show them the ropes, stay on FaceTime, whatever you need to do while you're healing. Make sure your husband's around to sign off on anything he needs to sign off on. But get the surgery, Latrice. your health is more important than anything. Your health is your wealth. Let's just keep it a buck. And with that being said, I think that's everything in my opinion that happened on the show. Glenn and Letitia trying to figure it out. Latrice is nervous about her surgery. Tamara is checked in this season though. Tamara said, I'm coming after y'all. Y'all want to come in here and just break up what we got going on with the Bells? No, that's not finna happen. And you can see in the next episode, Tamara's about to go in on Chantel, which is warranted. Marie, you need to step back. Y'all act like y'all want Chantel to be part of the Bells. And I can tell you, if you bring Chantel in, Tamara probably's out. And again, I know I've been hard on Tamara because she not been transparent. But like Tamara said, this particular season, I done showed y'all everything. And I still don't know that much about you guys. So y'all need to start being more transparent with Tamara. And Letitia, I'm just surprised that you said you talked to a financial advisor and you looking at doing a post-nuptial. You've been married to Glenn how many years? And you just, girl, you think Glenn finna sign off on that now if you done spent all his money all these years? If you don't get, okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. That's next week's episode. But it was a good episode just to kind of bring down the heighten from last week. Oh, and the last thing to talk about was, of course, Carrie and Brick and Spoons, Spoon and Brick, whatever you call it. Carrie, just close that joker down. It's bleeding money. Your husband is telling you it's bleeding money. Your mom is telling you bleeding money. Put your pride aside, because with Carrie, it ain't nothing but pride there. That's all it is, because you don't want the girls gossiping and talking about you. Your business is failing, and it's okay. Most restaurants open and close all the time. Just keep trying it, but close it down and stop bleeding money. Put your pride aside and get that thing closed and get that money back in your pocket. Or you can do what everybody else do in black restaurants. Just my opinion. They put up a grass wall. They make it a lunch and brunch spot. They have karaoke Wednesday nights. They have Saturday and Sunday brunch sing-alongs where everybody's singing "Can We Talk" or Fantasia. I put my head on a pillow, whatever. Do that. The sing-alongs. Sell some overpriced chicken and waffles, some oxtails and shrimp and grits like they all do, and it's the same. Or you could throw some hookahs in there every now and then on karaoke night. Have the hookah bar karaoke, sing along the Tevin Campbell songs. The songs everybody sing to. Or you can have Saturday and Sunday brunches at most brunch start be 11 and 3. Have a little DJ in there. You know how I do. That's what they do in the restaurants now. I personally don't like it because I hate all that loud music. Got to shout over each other while you're trying to have conversations, but that's what's successful. And maybe you need to start advertising Brick and Spoon in that fashion. And then maybe bringing people in. Bring in some content creators. Bringing some people in on Saturdays and Sundays. Hey, so and so going to just some appearances. Hell, bring the people in from Belle Collective. Just a little, they can sit and have a meet and greet, talk about the show, bring a little money, sell some food. There's ways to do it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. But hopefully she figured that out. Now let's get to this Belle Collective Birmingham, and I'm not going to say much about it because we're still getting to the crust of who each person is. Stormy walks in once again like the boss she is, and she jumps straight into action, got in them benders behind because that box for Lala fragrance was not cutting it. Okay. But I will say this, Stormy has really grown as a businesswoman, getting her teams together. That warehouse looked good. She has really came a long way. Kudos to you. All right. And then they go over to Stormy's estate. Her estate is just, oh my God. I forgot she still lives in Huntsville on that farm. It is absolutely beautiful. The girl named, I think, and again, I'm learning these girls' names because this is just the first episode. Kayla, the K, the apostrophe, the LA. We sure know how to name our kids. That's all I'm going to say. She comes in and she's talking to Stormy, and apparently she runs a very successful modeling like talent thing for children and kids who want to get into the movie industry, and I guess it's become very successful. But she's recently been divorced, and as she hasn't told a lot of people, she just told Stormy. But for some reason, it seems like her husband is a lot older than her. She says she met him when she was 17. And this, I mean, you all men, y'all got to stop going out here and trolling these young girls like this. So you met him at 17. From what I can see in the photo, you plopped out 3 babies. So your whole youth was just wife, baby, 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 baby. And apparently now you're growing up a little more into your womanhood and you want a little more things for yourself. Now you're trying to get to divorce after 3 kids. And I'm sure at the time you married that guy so young, people was probably telling you you're too young to get married. Stormy did mention she kind of didn't like the way the husband treated you, but I get it. He probably had more money, well to do. So I'm going to go, like y'all say, get a soft life with an older man. Pay attention, ladies, because this is how it ends. That's all I'm saying. Tiffany, Tiffany and Amber. I think Tiffany was the lady doing the prayer. The thin lady, she was doing a prayer group and the Jesus and all that. And she's best friends with the first lady, the mayor's wife of Birmingham. That Tiffany, the minute I seen her, she got to talking. It's always something about them church people. They got more spunk in them than they laid on to. Because she did mention she was out in the real world for a while drinking and partying, but now she reading the Bible every day. And I said to myself, Tiffany is the one that Stormy may start bumping heads with, or the rest of the girls, because she gives me the impression that she likes to be the center of attention and she kind of knows it all. And I'm the first lady's best friend, and y'all need to be ooh to Tiffany and not so much whoa to Stormy. But I can see they're gonna be fighting for the number one spot. Fumi, I like Fumi, the Nigerian lady. Never met her before. Some people, I mean, never seen her before. Some people say she's an influencer on TikTok. I mean, I'm on TikTok, but I don't be on there for that type of stuff. She does dress and styling and all that. There's like a million people that do that on TikTok. So I might have ran across her page and just didn't know who she was. She seemed very nice, flashy, and talking about building this new home and what she's gonna need. But her husband is a lawyer, works for a law firm. So hopefully she do have the money she's trying to spend on a $5 million house. All right. Um, she does seem to talk quite a bit. I don't know if that's going to play for her or against her in this group, because it seems like everybody wants to get their word in and just want to get together as one. But I think Stormy is the focal point of the group. Um, Again, Kendra is the first lady of Birmingham. And then I think it was one other person, I can't remember her name. But at the end of the day, all the ladies seem to be very nice, but very set in their ways, and their personalities are definitely different. Tiffany's more of a firecracker. Stormy is straight down to business, but if you rub her the wrong way, she will pop off. Fumi is about that life. She wants that big flamboyant life. It's like she has a bigger than life personality. She wants the big house. She wants this. She wants that, and she wants her husband to do it all. She's kind of traditional. And Kayla seemed like the young girl of the group, and I think that's the one that a lot of ladies going to target, because it seemed like to me she's younger than them, and they think they can just she'll be a pushover. I'm trying to think of the right words, but it seemed like to me they seem like she might be a pushover. But she did walk into Stormy's event with another older dude. So Kayla must have an attraction to older men, which is cool, because the guy she was with, he was fly. But I'm like, Kayla, if your divorce just got done, what are you doing with this guy? Because everybody's like, good Lord, she just okay. But that's how it happens. We all see that. Now, Stormy had a wonderful event. She called Lala up, let her see everything through FaceTime. Lala was very, very impressed. She had some of her old castmates from Huntsville show up. Destiny is always popping up somewhere. One thing about Destiny, she gonna do everything she can to try to stay relevant and change people's perspective of her. However, I was just surprised how her and Stormy were just so hugging and googly because who'd have thought that? Of course, Martell was in. I don't even know. I think that was just really to piss other people off. And then there were some bloggers there. I'm not mentioning any names because people be out here so at people. So, but overall, the event was nice. Um, the one lady, I keep forgetting her name, and I will remember it after a while, but I think it was Amber, sat down. The ladies were sitting down having conversation, and then Amber and Kayla sat down. Amber accused Kayla of walking by not speaking. Kayla said she don't remember that. Stormy's like, oh, not again. Stormy, you choreographed that whole sit down for them to do, you know, resolve their differences, and you sitting here not again, like you don't know what's going on. I think it's going to be pretty good, the show. It seems like a lot of ladies have, husbands and children. We'll be seeing that part of their lives. But I think they're just excited to be on TV, get the green light, and showcase Birmingham. But whatever y'all do, and I don't know how these episodes are cut, they probably already done. Whatever you do, even after it's over, the bloggers, like, I'm not a big blogger, but the bigger bloggers, they're going to be chewing y'all left and right. They're going to be digging down the investigative terminal CSI bloggers, looking for your backgrounds and anything they could find negative about you. Hold your head up, own it, and just be in that moment, be present. Don't allow them to take over your show, because I think it could be a good show and it could be a hit, but don't allow the fame you about to get, the notoriety you about to get, to go to your head. Stay authentically yourself, and that's how you survive on reality TV. Because what we hate is when people get on there, almost hate, I'll just say dislike. When you start getting the fame and notoriety, you change. You're not the person you was when the show first started. It's okay to grow. I'm not saying like let people walk over you, mistreat you, but watch the arrogance. Stay, keep the humility, stay grounded as you grow. Okay, because that's what hurts a lot of people, especially the newcomers. They come in and they doing too much, trying to be relevant, when you don't even understand that most of the time we like you exactly the way you are, flaws and all. And with that being said, this Generation X Nation, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the channel, leave a comment, and I'll catch you on the next run, because I got to go watch Love and Marriage Huntsville later on today. And I already know it's going to be a doozy. And with that, you guys go and have a great rest of your day. Peace, and I'm out.